What's up, friends? Welcome back to Badass is the New Black podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Chin. Here on the podcast, I am all about helping you turn your side business or your side hustle into a legit, real business. And I do that by helping you stand out on social media, leverage your website, create automations to scale your business so you can ultimately do my favorite thing, which is work less and enjoy more. So welcome back to this episode. I'm going to talk about having the perseverance to press on and move forward when you're feeling a little stuck in your business. So I talked recently on my social posts about being brave enough to start, but being persistent enough to go to the finish line, to keep moving forward in your business. And there's going to be a lot of times where you kind of feel like, blah. Like, I'm going to be 100% transparent and honest that I was feeling that way today about the podcast episode, because it is Wednesday and I am recording this episode for Friday. Okay. So it's one of those times in my business where I have so much going on in all these other areas with the Build a Blissful Business course, with an amazing group that's going through that right now, and just so many other things that it was like, crap, I forgot about the podcast episode, and I am not ahead enough to have so many that I could just, let's just throw this one on the podcast this week. So I was feeling that way about the podcast, and what am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? What inspirational thing am I going to do? And it's one of those things where it can really put you in a rut and prevent you from moving forward in your business. So sure, I was brave enough to start this podcast, but am I going to be persistent enough to move forward? Now, one of the lessons that I learned is that having to come up with my own episode and talk about my own thing takes a lot more work for me than scheduling someone to interview on the podcast and just shooting the shit with them and asking them questions and playing off of what they're saying to add in my own knowledge to it. And so I had this huge revelation today, like, how can I be more persistent, or like, how can I keep up with things in my business? It pertains to my podcast, because that's currently what I'm struggling with. But what I want you to do is look at, in your business, what are you struggling with? And then ask yourself, how can I modify what's going on or how I'm doing something in order to be able to follow through to the very end? So for my podcast, I was kind of thinking, like, I'm totally going to take you in my head and through my thoughts about how this plays out. But it's like, okay, I'm struggling with coming up with what to talk about on the podcast in advance. Okay. So then I think, well, why am I not scheduling the interviews? Because I've already decided that interviews are much easier for me to do, because there's a lot less prep time for me, unless I'm literally going off the cuff like I am with this episode. Okay, so why don't I want to schedule these podcast interviews? Challenges might be finding someone to have on the podcast. Okay, that might take a little bit of time to find someone. And then commitment. That's like my big thing. If I have to commit to something and stick to, okay, I have to show up this day, this time, I have to be showered and look presentable, then it just kind of like gets at me. And so I don't like to schedule out my schedule really full or far in advance, because what if something comes up that I want to do instead? That's the kind of personality I have. That's why I ended up building my own business, so that I could have the flexibility in my schedule. But with having your own business comes responsibility, right? So I've decided that, okay, if I don't want to end up again, like I am today, where it's like, shoot, it's Wednesday and I got to get my podcast recorded and I have nothing, don't know what I'm going to talk about, I need to just schedule these interviews. And so is it really that big of a deal to have some specific times, maybe the times that I would normally record my podcast episode, Tuesdays or Wednesdays, between these different hours, and make those the available times that someone could schedule an interview with me? So I finally got my calendar. So that was the other thing that I struggled with, was scheduling with someone when they were going to record with me. And it would be this back and forth on emails, like, are you free on Tuesdays and Thursdays or Wednesdays? Oh, how about this time? How about this time? I was like this annoying back and forth because I just didn't take the time to figure out the calendar. How those people will send me a link. They'd be like, just book with me here. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so fancy. Like, how do I get that? So I finally took the time to set that up. And today, before like thinking about this podcast, I was like, look, I have two people right off the bat that I know I've been talking about scheduling an episode with. I'm sending them my link so that they can schedule the time so we can get this ball rolling. And I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid and do it, because in the end of the day, I'm going to be so much happier in my business if I have things a little bit planned ahead and I'm not feeling like I'm just trying to survive over here. So, the main topic that I had originally started with is be brave enough to get started and then be persistent enough to finish, to get to the finish line. It's not a sprint, you guys. It's a marathon, and it takes time and patience to work through these things and these challenges that we encounter in our business on a regular basis. Let's take a tiny little break from this badass podcast to talk about Kajabi, or as my husband calls it, Punjabi. Babe, it starts with a K. Kajabi. This is the platform that literally makes all the magic happen. It's plug and play, no coding necessary. And guess what, you guys? The best thing about it is that you get your very own mobile app with it. I looked into building an app and it was going to be over $100,000. You get your own right there. The platform is so affordable too. So instead of paying for individual platforms like your CRM system, which is going to host your email, your landing pages, which is going to capture your email, your website, which is going to be where all the magic happens, a community space, it's literally all in one. So it doesn't matter if you want to host courses, educational classes, have libraries in there for your team. This is absolutely the way to go. And I have a month free for you to check it out. So hop over to my website, thechrissychin.com/Kajabi, Kajabi, and you can check out a month for free. I cannot wait to see what you create. Please do me a favor. Send me a DM, send me an email once you've created something so I can see it and check it out. Can't wait for you to get started and scale your business like a badass boss. All right, let's get back to the podcast. And so often I see people who are really struggling in their business because they're not working through, they're not problem solving through the challenges that they're having. So I kind of worked you through something that kind of goes on in my own head for a very particular scenario. It was like, oh my gosh, the episode has to be recorded and I don't know what to do. How can I make this so much easier in my life? And problem solving and working through that. So that's kind of the key to being persistent enough to reach the finish line and understanding that it's a marathon and it's not a sprint, and that it's going to take some time to work through some of the kinks and challenges in your business to problem solve. So that's kind of my key thing, is problem solving, to figure out how can I make this better? What is standing in my way? What is the challenge that is going on? How can I resolve this problem? How can I think outside the box and make it easier for me, make it better for me, make the system and process run more smoothly? And so I think that is kind of the key to being able to continue to move forward in your business. It's certainly really helpful in being able to be consistent in things, whether that's creating content for social media, or creating lessons for a course you're releasing, or education for your clients and customers on the regular, however you're putting that out there, blog posts, podcasts, all of the things. That's kind of what I think about. I think that's how I wanted to end that sentence. I couldn't really remember what I said the second before. So I think that's how I wanted to end that sentence. Anyway, you're literally getting the true version of Chrissy when she's very unprepared and just speaking from her heart and her mind, going on a rant. So I'm going to keep this episode a little short and sweet today. But I just wanted to let you know that I feel you. I understand you. I know that we all have down days and rough days where we're struggling to figure out what to do and what to say. And we're wondering if this is making a difference. Is anyone listening out there? It's like some weeks or days my DMs are really quiet and no one's saying anything. No one's asking questions. And I'm like, is anyone out there listening? Is it useful? Like, what's going on? As always, I always ask you guys to, if you have a question or something, or you're feeling inspired, or you want to share a message with me, DM me, because I'm with you too. Some days it just kind of feels lonely, and is this helping anyone? And then I just have to remind myself of the positive validation, around me, that I am making a difference and I am helping people. And here are the things that I'm witnessing and experiencing that validate that in me. But at the end of the day, I still love getting messages from you guys to continue that validation that what I'm saying is kind of creating that little spark in your brain, making you think a little bit extra today, making you stretch a little bit further, so that you can go crush it in your business. So that's it for today. It's super short and sweet. Maybe don't send me any messages about how much you dislike this episode. No, I'm kidding. Shoot me a message, and I'd love to just hear kind of where you're at in your business. And kind of what's going on in your business. And if you have a struggle and you want to share that with me, totally cool and awesome. But I'm going to pick someone this week that listens to this episode and humors me by sending me a DM, and letting me know where you're at in your business and where you could really use some help in your business. I'm going to pick someone that sends me a DM this week. And in 2 episodes, hopefully I remember. You guys will have to remind me if I don't. In 2 episodes, I'll pick a winner, and that person is going to get a 20 minutes little private call with me, so I can work through maybe some of your challenges or things that are just kind of holding you down in your business and making you feel stuck, that you really want to push through, so that you can get to the end of your marathon and to where you want to go. So again, send me a DM after you listen to this episode. Let me know where you're at in your business, and something that you're just kind of feeling stuck with and you want help working through, and let me know how that would change your business if you were to get on a phone call with me, so that I could work through that with you. All right, that's it. You guys have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.